Welcome to a spooky episode of Otaku Evolution! I'm Mike, Penguin Truth! This October, I wanted to do something kind of special for Halloween. And while there's no shortage of horror and horror-themed anime to cover, I wasn't sure at first which one would be appropriate to. I wanted to do something that wasn't necessarily a horror show per se, because to me, those always turn out dreadfully boring. But something with a supernatural element and suspense would work. So I thought, hey, why not Death Note? That's seen kind of a resurgence in relevance in the past year or so. Death Note has been one of the most successful franchises to spring from the pages of Shonen Jump. Its original manga is 12 volumes long and has been adapted into anime, live-action movies, a stage play, and most recently a live-action television drama. There's even, ostensibly, an American movie adaptation in the works that recently cast its lead. So, in this two-part review, I want to go through the basic premise, spoil a couple of twists, examine the appeal, and derive some sort of conclusion about the popularity of this title. A title that, as we'll see, is compelling, but not without its flaws. More than that, it seems almost perfectly constructed for its key demographic, disaffected teenage special snowflakes. And I want to make a few jibes about that in my oh-so-hilarious manner. But what exactly is a Death Note? Well, first let me tell you what it isn't.
Damn it! There's no more toilet paper!
Hey, human, I have something that might be handy.
Paper?
Well, there's paper in it, but...
Pass it! Under the... door!
That Shinigami still won't talk to me to this day. Our story begins when bored, self-righteous, brainy teen boy Zack Light Yagami, pronounced Yagami here for some reason, finds a black notebook at school. Said notebook has ominous English language instructions that explain that anyone whose name is written down in it will die. At first, as anyone would, Light thinks this is a stupid prank by some edgy tryhard douchebag, but after testing it, resulting in the death of criminals, he decides to use it to wipe out crime and corruption the very best way he knows how. Supernatural murder. You know, like you do. Well, there's a little extra that comes with the notebook, or Death Note as it's called, and that's a scream-yourself-awake nightmare goth Vegeta named Ryuk, a Shinigami, a death god, who dropped the book in the human world because he was bored. Only people who've touched the notebook can see or hear Ryuk, and he dropped it basically for the lulz, wanting to see how a human would use it. Shinigami regularly used their personal Death Notes to kill humans and add their lifespans, and Ryuk ended up getting his hands on an extra, so he's decided to experiment.
It's mine? If you don't want it, just give it to someone else. But if you give it away, I'd have no choice but to erase your memories of the notebook.
So then, you're saying I can use the Death Note all I want and I won't be punished?
Let's just say this. You will feel the fear and pain known only to humans who've used the notebook. And when it's your time to die, it will fall on me to write your name in my Death Note. Be warned, any human who's used a Death Note can neither go to heaven nor hell for eternity. That's all. Now you have something to look forward to after you die.
With criminals dropping left and right, criminal investigators turn to an enigmatic and brilliant detective only known as L. L is a recluse who solves mysteries without revealing himself to the public, and thus a character endearing to the hikikomori shut-ins like me. He only takes on cases that interest him, and this unknown force causing criminal deaths, who the public dubbed Kira, is especially interesting to him. With bad guys dropping dead by the dozens, Kira becomes increasingly popular. So L decides to call out Kira in public via a broadcast where he supposedly appears. Light, high on righteousness, decides to nip this in the bud, but L is a lot more clever than Light thought.
What's wrong? You got nothing else to say?
I had to test this just in case, but I never thought it would actually happen. Kira, it seems you can kill people without having to be there in person. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't just witnessed it. Listen to me, Kira. If you did indeed kill Lind L. Taylor, the man who you just saw die on television, I should tell you that he was an inmate whose execution was scheduled for today. That was not me.
What?
The police arrested him in absolute secrecy, so you wouldn't have heard about him on TV or through the internet. It appears that not even you have access to information about these types of criminals.
He got you there.
But I assure you, L is real. I do exist. Now, try to kill me.
You bastard.
What's wrong?
What the
Hurry
hell
up.
is going
Come
on?
right
He's really
now.
taking this
Kill
too
me.
far.
Are you trying to kill yourself, Elle?
What's going on?
Look, it's
What are you
Kira
waiting
versus
for?
Elle.
You better
Live
do it.
broadcasting
Come on,
killing.
kill me.
This is freaky.
Amazing. Do it, Kira! Someone
What's
stop
the
this.
matter?
Can't you do it?
Well, Kira, it seems that you can't kill me after all.
So there are some people you can't kill. You've given me a useful hint.
Let me return the favor. I'll tell you something that I think you'll find interesting. Although this was announced as a worldwide broadcast, the truth is, we are only broadcasting in the Kanto region of Japan. I had planned to broadcast this message around the world until we found you, but it looks like that won't be necessary. I now know where you are.
This Elle guy is pretty good.
L has FBI agents brought over to Japan to shadow people close to the investigation because information seems to be leaking. Light is followed because his father is chief of the National Police Agency, and Ryuk uncharacteristically tips him off. Ryuk offers Light a shortcut in his judgments as Kira, the ability to see a person's name just by looking at them, thus making killing them easier. However, as it cuts the user's remaining lifespan in half, Light sagely rejects the option. Through his wits alone, he arranges a situation where the FBI agent discloses his identity, then engineers the deaths of all the FBI agents in Japan, ending his pursuer as well. For a little while, it looks like a woman who once worked for L, also the fiancé of Light's FBI tail, might have information that could implicate him, but Light manages to get her real name after winning her confidence, and has her go off to commit suicide. While writing the name of a person in the notebook usually results in a heart attack, Light can write specific deaths within reason, even on the smallest scrap of the notebook. L is forced to finally reveal himself to chosen members of the NPA to gain their trust to investigate together.
Excuse me, Elle?
From now on, I'll have to ask that you stop calling me Elle. It's Ryuzaki now, just to be safe.
Okay, Ryuzaki. If we know that he needs a name and a face to kill, couldn't we cut down on the number of victims by keeping criminals' names from the news?
If we do that, we'll only be putting the general public at risk.
The general public? Why?
Kira is childish, and he hates losing.
But how do you...
Just what do you mean?
Well, I'm also childish, and I hate to lose. That's how I know.
Ryuzaki, would you mind being a little more specific for us?
Early on in the investigation, I tried to provoke Kira with that broadcast. Up until then, we thought that Kira would only go after criminals, but as we all witnessed, he didn't hesitate to kill my stand-in. Also, as soon as I said we knew he was in the Kanto region, in defiance, he made sure his next victims came from within Japan, as if to say, and what are you going to do about it? He's met each of my challenges head-on, and he's never missed an opportunity to return the favor. Now, what do you think would happen if we tried to use media restrictions to hide criminals from someone like that?
I guess...
If you choose to withhold the names of your worst criminals, I'll kill petty criminals or the innocent. I'm holding the whole world hostage, so who's it gonna be? I'm not the evil one here, but all those who oppose me by hiding criminals, you are truly evil. That's exactly how Kira thinks.
From here, it's a series of back-and-forth gambits between L and Kira. L places cameras and recording devices in the Yagami home.
Light just pretends he's doing his homework while he's judging criminals, and has Ryuk locate the cameras to find a blind spot. L decides to get close to Light to throw him off. Light decides to accept his friendship to get closer to finding his real name. L plays to the Fujiyoshi and shut-ins. Light gets a gothic Lolita girlfriend who made the deal for the Shinigami eyes. Oh, yeah, Misa. Misa Amane, the second Kira. She's a trip. A trip into misogyny. Well, that's kind of a clickbaity accusation, but Death Note seems to have some kind of hang-up on women, making them seem shallow and easy to manipulate. Nowhere is this more exemplified than with Misa, a bubble-headed simpleton with rare moments of lucidity, who, although she has superior powers to Light, nevertheless is completely subservient to him. The only problem for Light is that she's in love with him and her Shinigami is fond of her, and if Light does anything that leads to her capture, her Shinigami will kill him. Though that's pretty rare, since if a Shinigami kills a human out of compassion for another, they get turned into dust, as what happened with the previous owner of Misa's notebook. Misa ends up being part help and part hindrance for Light, who basically plays her like a fiddle, hoping to get her Shinigami Rem to kill L. Meanwhile, dealing with Misa is a big pain in his side.
Huh? What do you mean? You're seriously going to date other girls?
Yeah, more or less.
I don't want you to! If I see you with another girl, I'll kill her.
Scary.
Look, sweetie.
Sweetie?
This is not a game. Both of us are risking our lives to change the world, aren't we?
I know that, but I love you more than the world, Light.
It sounds like you're confused. Maybe it feels that way to you, but you're here because you admire Kira. You don't even know me. We just met.
Don't you believe in love at first sight?
No.
I admit that everything you said was true. I did want to meet Kira out of gratitude and respect, not love. But from the moment I first saw you, I knew.
What is wrong with this girl?
Popular, as always.
While Light is meticulous, Misa only manages to squeak by with her methods for a little while. Prior to meeting Light in person, she'd just send messages through tapes mailed to a television station. When the investigation team interferes, one of their rank is killed by her immediately. But Light's father manages to retrieve the tapes with his bountiful chutzpah, and ultimately L was able to get a lead on the second Kira based on evidence left on the tapes. While Light arrogantly believes his relationship with Misa, possessing the Shinigami eyes, and her relationship with Rem will lead to L's demise, his ego is soon deflated. It doesn't take long for L to turn things around on Light, who he's come to suspect intensely.
It's been fun. I'm grateful that I was the one to discover your name, so I could kill you myself.
Yes? Hello?
What do you mean, hello?
Oh, is that you, Light? I guess someone must have dropped this phone in all of the commotion earlier on.
He took it. Bastard!
Hello?
Yeah, that's Misa's cell phone you have. I can give it back to her.
No, I see. Sure, that makes sense.
Ryuga, he probably thinks he's pretty clever right now, but Misa has another phone he doesn't know about. I'll just call that one instead.
Oh. Well, this time it's actually my cell phone. Yes? Yes, I see. So it's done then. I understand. I'm not exactly sure how you'll take this, but regarding Misa Amane, there's something you should know. We've taken her into custody under suspicion of being the second Kira.
How long has he known about Misa? I never thought he'd find her this quickly.
We gathered physical evidence from the envelopes that were sent by the second Kira. In particular, we recovered hairs and fibers from the masking tape used to seal them. They matched what we found in Misa's room. There would be a public uproar if it gets out that she's been apprehended as the second Kira, so officially we've charged her manager with drug possession, and she's a voluntary witness. But I doubt any of this will get out.
A harvest moon has risen, and from the darkness deep emerges Fruitables by Lucky Squid Studios. Hauntingly precious fruit animal hybrid plushies conceived of in a ghoulish ritual by 3 dark mages. Eerie orange fox, spooky octo cherry, frightening eggplantibus. They'll petrify you with cuteness, as will dragon fruit and other designs. You can find Lucky Squid goods at Store Envy and Society 6. Fruitimals from Lucky Squid Studios. Buy them, or I'm coming for you! Light has to seriously up his game after Misa's capture, because she could implicate him. L takes, shall we say, extreme interrogation measures, and it's bound to only be a matter of time before he gets what he needs to uncover Light as Kira. So Light embarks on one of the longest and cleverest gambits in the show, involving memory erasing, setting up a new Kira, joining the investigation team full-time, and then the waiting game. This leads to the second major arc of the series, where executives from a top Japanese company use the Death Note for their own purposes, while Light has been basically cleared. The Yotsuba arc is, well, it's kind of like a different show altogether. Some people see it as a lag in the main plotline, which in some ways it is, maybe coming off as excessive at times, but the payoff is mostly worth it in the long run.
Are you okay, Light? I suppose seeing that monster would surprise anyone.
Ryuzaki.
What is it?
I want to check this out. I'm going to try comparing the names written in this notebook with the names of the victims.
Huh? Oh, right. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
I've won. Exactly as planned.
I'm condensing a lot of the show here because I want the viewer to actually watch this if they haven't already. But now I want to get into some of the underpinnings of the series, which means spoiling a bit, as I am wont to do. But let's face it, the show's been out a long time, so you have no one to blame but yourself if you're spoiled. It's not an obscure title. It's difficult at times to get a bearing on author's intent with our main protagonist. While it's clear he's intended to be seen as somewhat smug and self-aggrandizing, it can very easily be mistaken as him being an outlet for the viewer's adolescent angst, the ultimate power trip. Light is both the Ubermensch and the common boy. He is a hard-working Japanese student who gets top marks, but he suffers from the same ennui as any other high school student. It's clear that any self-stylized misunderstood youth, specifically any young man, shaking his fist at society can see themselves reflected in Light's obsession with remaking the world. Perhaps tellingly, adults are depicted as being quite useless, and so are most females of any age. It's as if the work is screaming, "My parents and girls don't understand my brilliance. I'll show them." The question is it arrested development from the author, or pandering to that kind of reader? Was the manga author criticizing this attitude of self-absorbed millennials and their tendency to find some anonymous savior, or else the desire to become one? Or was it just a plot engine to move the game of wits along? Or both? Because while Light is set up like a villain protagonist, it seems like an excessive number of Death Note fans actually agree with him. It has me wondering whether the writer themselves felt that way. I'll delve deeper into this in the next episode, but is there really any ethical quandary about the use of the Death Note? Can you really justify murdering hundreds, thousands of human beings because they're criminals? Even if crime winds down, wars are halted and such, doesn't it rob humanity of its free will? Or is it worth it? There's also an element of dehumanization that comes with killing a person by writing their name down in a notebook that, honestly, the manga, and therefore the show, never really examines. It appears that, for most of the length of the series, the writer is satisfied with merely setting up the scenarios that pit one side against the other, Kira versus L. One looking to mold the world in his own image, the other wanting to crack the greatest mystery at almost any cost. And make no mistake, while L is nominally on the side of law enforcement, he does plenty of below-the-board things to achieve his goals, something more recently examined in the live-action TV show. Still, L remains a very popular character with anime fans, and it's because of what happens with him that many disdain the third arc of the series. How does Light's gamble pay off, and who, if anyone, can stop him? We'll look at that next time. Whoa, I haven't done a two-parter in a long time. But then I haven't reviewed something over 26 episodes since Fullmetal Alchemist. We'll continue our haunting look at Death Note next time on Otaku Evolution. See ya!